wonderful and powerful locomotive. Some would say one of the most powerful locomotives of the 15-inch gauge world. Inspired by a locomotive that has long since been scrapped in the 1930s, she was the dream of a rock star and had been rocking the railway world since she first turned her wheels. My name is Dylan and this is the history of number 24. Before we go any further, I would like to say thank you on behalf of all of us here at the Cleethorpes Coastline Railway for giving us support on the channel since we first started uploading. If you want to show your support, please make sure to like the video, share it with friends and family, and most importantly, subscribe for more. Don't forget to tap the bell to be notified when we next upload. Now that's out the way, let's begin our journey through the history of number 24. Whilst our number 24 was built in 1990 by the Fairbourne and Barmouth Railway, the locomotive she is based on was built a very long time ago. The original locomotive was built by Baldwin at their Philadelphia works in 1919 for the Sandy River and Rangeley Lakes Railroad in Maine, USA. It was the last locomotive bought by the railroad and was over 46 feet long. She weighed an impressive 43 3/4 tons and had a tractive effort of 10,115 pounds. Despite the fact it was considered an excellent piece of motive power, it was sadly scrapped in 1936 along with the rest of the railroad. However, the story of number 24 didn't end there. In the late 1980s, John Ellerton, who was also a musician, purchased the Fairbourne and Barmouth Railway and had big plans for the railway. One of them was recreating Sandy River's number 24. In this short clip from BBC Wales, they talk about number 24 and what went into building her, and it even mentions how Mr. Ellerton got involved in owning the railway.
Bay is on the verge of a major export deal, selling the great little trains of Wales to the United States. The Fairbourne and Barmouth narrow gauge steam railway has begun building replica locomotives at their tiny seaside workshop. And it's a move that seems to be putting their business back on the right track.
Meet Loco number 24. It's this little train that looks set to turn around the fortunes of an ailing narrow gauge railway on the Mouthac estuary. The team on the Fairbourne and Barmouth line have spent the last 3 years and close on £200,000 building the magnificent engine, and today it took to the tracks for the first time.
Well, the original engine was cut up in 1936 in Maine in the States, and rail enthusiasts all over the world were so saddened by its loss, we decided to bring it back to life. It certainly has a look of its own, and there are so few American engines running in this country, we thought to do something for America and something for Britain. Although the engine is a replica from the outside, we've used a lot of modern technology on the inside, and I'm very pleased to say that the first time we put a fire in it, it went away like a Swiss watch, or should I say a Welsh one.
For John Ellerton, who's also a world-class pop musician, the railway was something of an accidental acquisition.
It closed in 1983. It was in a very run-down state, and my grandmother, my parents, and I'd ridden on this railway I don't know how many times, family being from close by. And I came to this country in '83 to discover they'd closed, and I was somewhat surprised. Unfortunately, that day I was more than a little drunk as well, and I bought it. In the party I was in, the agent selling the line happened to be there, and I rather forgotten I'd bought it till the next morning, and they rang me up and said, "Are you really serious about buying the railway?" And my reaction was, "What railway?"
Since buying the railway 7 years ago, John's completely refurbished it. And this year, in its centenary, it's been voted Britain's best narrow gauge railway by Railway World magazine.
After her initial trials were completed at Fairbourne, she was then sold to a gentleman named Mike Hart for use on the Bure Valley Railway. She was quickly re-gauged from 12 1/4 to 15 inch and was taken to the BVR and was pressed into service and became known as number 2. However, she started to gain a record for indifferent steaming in Norfolk at the Bure Valley, which was believed due to an over-shallow firebox and an inefficient tube layout. When the boiler was sent away for repairs, it was dismantled and promptly condemned. She would gain a new boiler to a different design, which vastly increased her steaming. After the boiler was fitted and a few modifications made to the frames where it sat, she was quickly put back into service. Sadly, even with these improvements, Number 2 was unable to keep to the speed required on the service trains on this lengthy railway. She would continue to work the trains for the time being. That was until the planned arrival of the first large ZB Class 262 locomotive for the 1994 season. This would free up Number 2, and on the 9th of October 1993 she was taken from her home at Aylsham to Clayton West in West Yorkshire, home of the Kirklees Light Railway, which is now known as Whistle Stop Valley. Here at Kirklees she was repainted in a yellow and black livery, keeping her Number 2. Whilst there, she would visit Cleethorpes in 1995 for the Little Unusual Steam Gala, held over the weekend of the 30th of September and the 1st of October. On the 4th of November 1996, now back in her black livery, Number 2 returned to the Bure Valley and operated on the railway once more. However, in February 1997, moves were made to bring the locomotive back to Cleethorpes for use on the Cleethorpes Coastline Railway. After months of bartering and negotiations with Mike Hart, Number 2 was purchased in June 1997 by the Sandy River Number 24 Company Limited, a consortium of around 20 individuals, including 2 gentlemen named Andrew Barnes and Roger Loxley. She was loaded up and moved to her new home on the 27th of June 1997, entering service on Sunday the 29th of June. By September, she had been renumbered back to Number 24. Now in their ownership at Cleethorpes, Number 24 would visit many places such as the Romney Hive and Dymchurch Railway, and she also had a very memorable visit to the Ravenglass and Eskdale Railway. Though she had a bit of a rough journey up to Ravenglass. This entailed the locomotive and tender coming off of a lorry and blocking the A595. The tender had gouged the boiler cladding and knocked the cab out of place. But externally she was sound and repaired just in time before the gala event in the workshops at Lalrati. After this, she continued to trundle up and down the coast of Cleethorpes with some appearances at other railways such as the Kirklees Light Railway and Bure Valley once again. However, over time, the consortium slowly dwindled down in numbers until there was only Andrew Barnes and Roger Loxley. That was until June 2001, when Andrew Barnes got heavily involved with the Bure Valley Railway. Because of this, Andrew decided to sell his share to Roger Loxley. At that point, the Sandy River Number 24 Company Limited was wound up and the locomotive became the personal property of Roger, and remained as such until she was purchased by Pete Bryant and John Kerr. In January 2022, Number 24 left the railway after her boiler ticket had expired and headed to John Fowler Engineering of Balfe. Whilst there, she's had an extensive overhaul which has given her new axles, new wheel sets, they've done work on the boiler giving it new boiler tubes and washout plugs, and she's even gained a brand new axle driven compressor to help with building up the air for the braking. Once her overhaul was reaching the testing stages, she visited the Ravenglass and Eskdale Railway and was put to work to see if there was any issues needed working on after the test trains. We were very happy to hear that she had passed with flying colours and headed back to the workshop to be painted. After she was repainted, she returned to the Ravenglass and Eskdale Railway once more and starred in their 150th anniversary gala, celebrating 150 years of Lalrati, before returning home with Bonnie Dundee. Her return to Cleethorpes would be celebrated with a mini gala involving her and Bonnie Dundee running the service trains on the 24th of May. After her homecoming event, she would be put into service, taking turns with Bonnie Dundee and Königswinter each week pulling trains. In July, she would take part in our Summer Steam Festival weekend with Bonnie Dundee, and starring alongside our two lovely locos was none other than Anne visiting from the Perrygrove Railway adventure. On Saturday, the 12th of July, number 24 was brought down to the station and a tribute was made to a long-standing volunteer and friend of the railway, Jeff Matthews, who sadly passed away earlier this year. For those who don't know who Jeff is, Jeff was an ex-British Railways driver and was a regular sight with number 24 when he was down to do some driving. While he was down, he always seemed to give number 24 a nickname which always stuck and was always in the back of our minds. It was decided, whilst number 24 was away, and not long after Jeff's passing, we would name the locomotive in honour of Jeff and give her the nickname Jeff had always given her. His daughter visited as well for this weekend and said a few words, paying tribute to her father before pulling back the curtain and revealing the locomotive's new name. Number 24 was named Lucy Lou. However, if she did misbehave, Jeff would always call her Loopy Lou, a tradition that we will be keeping. After the naming ceremony was completed, Lucy Lou took over the next service train, carrying the many friends and family of Jeff. For the rest of the weekend, Lucy Lou performed brilliantly alongside Dundee and Anne, even taking part in a double header with Rachel, before ending both days with a triple header starring Lucy Lou, Bonnie Dundee and Anne. We hope you enjoyed this journey through the history of number 24, now known as Lucy Lou. If you did, why not leave a comment about your favourite part? Don't forget to leave us a like, and if you want to see more content just like this, please click the subscribe button and tap the notification bell to let you know when we next upload.